Anderson. I am Fred's nephew. I am the son of his older brother, Bill. Unfortunately, my father, his health is not as well, so he's unable to make the journey down here. My mom was going to try and make the trip. Unfortunately, due to the weather, she was unable to do so. My father and my sister put together pen and paper and came up with a little bit of a letter that I will read. First words on here from my sister, in brackets, it says big, deep breath, so it's hard to just do here. It says, my brother Frederick. I was 1 month from being 7 years old when Fred was born. I graduated from high school when Fred was in the 3rd grade. I went away to school, was drafted into the Army, and was discharged. Came home and worked for Dad. Fred, now 18 and in high gear. Probably an understatement there. I think our father suggested that given Fred's interest in sales and his people skills, that he might find more success elsewhere and not in northern Maine. I didn't ever hear much about that aspect of his life until Judy came into his life. Fred's description of Judy portrayed a beautiful princess who had found her prince in the District of Columbia. Our mom had passed away in 1958. Dad and Fred batched it for a while. My wife, Mary Lee, and I were married in 1960. We did many things with Fred and Dad. One time, we went to New Hampshire and stayed in North Conway visiting Dad's sister, Alice. One memorable highlight of this trip included riding a roller coaster and sitting in the front seat numerous times for about an hour. Fred and Judy were married in 1968. Mary and I went to Johnstown, Pennsylvania to attend the wedding. Fred and Judy came to Caribou for a second reception at the Loring Air Force Base Officers Club. The newlyweds spent several days with us in Caribou. Fred and I went on a tour of the base, making stops at our local favorites, the Ponderosa, the Rendezvous, and not for food. We were in great shape when we arrived home. Mary had prepared a homemade spaghetti dinner and expected us earlier. Lost my spot there. Dinner was long put away by the time we walked in. Judy came through the house to greet Fred and couldn't find him. Fred was hiding behind floor-length curtains. We reflect on this often with laughter as we eat our spaghetti dinners and have remembered it together many, many times over the years with good humor. One year on April vacation, our family traveled down to Washington, D.C. to join Fred's family and tour the Capitol. Fred was the man in charge and showed up with a limousine stating that it would be cheaper and made the attraction more accessible to our families. Yay for Uncle Fred. Our kids loved it. Our children have fond memories of Fred. One time when Kurt was visiting Fred and Judy's home in Virginia, Fred implanted the lifelong memory of the House of Clocks. This included a room-by-room tour, followed by the ringing of big band chimes simultaneously all throughout the house. Ad-lib. For those of you that don't know, Fred had a fetish for clocks and was meticulous about making sure that every single one of them went off at the precise time and in unison. Every time I hear a clock ring, there's Fred. Fred always arose to the occasions, family reunions near Cape Cod, special birthday celebrations in Caribou, the 4th of July celebrations in Massachusetts, weddings, wherever held, family was always a priority to Fred. Fred also loved his visits with his classmates when visiting Caribou. Hours of storytelling and a lot of smiles emerged after those few cups of coffee with old friends. No matter where Fred lived, Virginia, Tennessee, he always had a love for the state of Maine. It is with fondness that we reflect on the memories made at Cross Lake, snowmobiling in the winter, boating in the summer, the family getaways on the coast and in the mountains of Maine. The most cherished was this past September. Fred made arrangements for his brother and sister and himself to get together for one last treasured time. We love you, Fred, for all those good times and all the great memories.